Hello everybody, welcome to another Conflict of Nations video. Today we're going to be going over support units, which are one of my favorites to use. So I'm going to do these in order of the level of army base that you need. Let's start with mobile AA, which you only need level 1 army base to get going. Let's look at the maxed one. So yeah, you just need a level 1 army base. You need arms industry. That is all. This support unit, the mobile AA, needs supplies and components, which usually they need supplies and electronics. So if you are landlocked, like I am right now as Austria, you want to do a lot of these guys, because then this is gonna, you're gonna have excess components because you're not gonna be doing navy. So you are gonna be using those components that are gonna be just stashed there. So mobile AA is basically to counter helicopters. That's what they are stellar at. They also do some decent damage to fixed wing, but the SAMs do more damage than these guys to jets. So yeah, that's what they're for, to counter helicopters and to some extent to counter these guys. Next, we have the handicaps. You get a handicap in tundra, you get a handicap in jungle and forest, and also in mountains. Now, what do we have? Attack and defense mode. So attack is if an enemy aircraft is like hovering around or happens to fly on top of you, it like immediately triggers, not immediately, but at some point it triggers the attack rating. So you deal 7 damage to aircraft, fixed wing, and then 11 to helicopters. And then let's say the enemy is coming at you, right, with some jets. So it's 1, and it comes, and it triggers the anti-air on the way to you. Then you hit him a 7, and then the defensive rating is triggered when you're actually hit. So if it's triggered, you would do a 14 damage to one aircraft, which usually when they're maxed, they are 25 health points. So you do more, you kill more than half the unit. So you put 2, and if the attack rating is triggered, you take it down. Next, we have let's do mobile radar. Mobile radar allows you to see enemy units. It shows them as radar signatures, and when you get it to the second generation, which is over here, I don't know why I can't move this anymore, to the second generation, which means it becomes a different skin. Basically, you can see soft targets. Initially you can only see hard targets, so it's very useful to couple with artillery, because you can do damage from afar without getting in range usually of enemy. And if you see an enemy stack with radar, if you are able to destroy it, then they're basically blind. So yeah, that's what radar does, and it's very cheap to produce. You only need a level 2 army base, and as you see, it's only 600 supplies and 450 of electronics. So it's relatively inexpensive. That's what it does. You don't want to attack with it. As you can see, there's nothing here. And lastly, next we have towed artillery, which is the first artillery you can get at level 2 army base. And like the mobile AA, it takes supplies and components, not electronics. It does more damage to soft targets than armor targets. With all the artillery, you again don't want to get run over. That you always want to keep them at a distance, because when you're run over, then the defensive rating is going to be the one you're going to be doing damage with, and you're going to be taking hits. So you don't want to get run over. You get like all artillery, you get a buff in mountains, and you get a handicap in forest, jungle, and tundra. Next we have, let's do mobile artillery. Similar to total artillery, really the only difference is that with total artillery, you can air assault when you get to a higher level. So if you have airborne infantry, you can couple it with total artillery to storm an enemy unit, an enemy position, sorry. And with mobile artillery, you cannot, nor with rocket launchers. However, these guys do more damage, especially to armored units. Same as before, you get a buff in mountains, a handicap in jungle and forest. These also take an army base level 3, and it costs components and electronics, not supplies and components. Moving on. Oh, and it also achieves a greater range than the total artillery. The total artillery gets a range of 75. These guys do 85. And multiple rocket launcher gets 100, which is why it's my favorite. Because if you run into any of the other two artilleries, you will always outrange them, and you're going to be able to win because you're going to do damage and take none if you keep moving as you attack. You see the stats of attack and defense. Again, you don't want to get run over because then you're going to be using defense. So yeah, you want to keep them at a distance. Don't want to get run over. Cannot emphasize enough. Next we have Mobile SAM, which is similar to Mobile AA. It attacks air targets, but only jets. If you get 5 of these and you get attacked by an enemy wing with 5 aircraft, you're likely going to kill them all because they're going to do like 60 damage if they're higher level. You want to have some Mobile AA and some SAMs, because if you really pick just SAMs, even though they're a killer against jets, you're going to be completely open to attacks of helicopters. Also, if you mix them, you increase the range of the anti-air of the Mobile AA. It only takes into account the greater one, so that's also why I want to have a SAM in there, to increase your odds of triggering the attack rating when you're being attacked. So you get to double tap, basically, instead of just taking, let's say the Mobile AA is 2 and 2, you would do 10 damage when they're coming at you, and then you would do 10 damage more when you're actually hit. That is very helpful. You get to increase your range with these guys. And lastly is the theater defense, which is really just to counter missiles. Put in your home cities, so if you get nuked, these guys neutralize the missile, and it does minimal damage against fixed wing targets. It really doesn't do much. So yeah, it only gets a handicap in jungle because you're supposed to have them in cities. And let's see the handicaps before the SAM. Same thing, just in jungle. So yeah, these two, as you saw, take supplies and electronics. This guy also. But and theater defense requires a level 5 army base. So it is really mid to late game that you get these guys going. If you see in the press that somebody has started their nuclear program or their chemical program, that's when you really want to get these guys rolling, because likely is that they're going to try to nuke your capital if it's, towards the late game and you're both still alive. So yeah, that is it for support units.